excellent timing, Chris. I was just swearing loudly in front of the mic just before the intro cut in. So, oh, and that's the wrong screen as well. Okay, lightning talks, you know the drill. First up, we have somebody who used to be from the company that made LLVM and is apparently talking about Clang. Please welcome Hugh and Wilson.
Thank you. It's a different sort of Clang. So at the moment, I'm somewhere in South Wharf, and I think you guys might be too. But this morning, I wasn't here. This morning, I'd walked up the Yarra River all the way to Birrarung Ma. And at Birrarung Ma, there's Federation Bells. It's an art installation. It looks something like this. It's 39 bells pointing up, and they sound something like this. Boop. Cool. At the installation, my computer just crashed. Anyway, at the installation, there's a sign, and it says something like the bells are dynamic. And dynamic means they have volume. You can play the bells quietly, you can play the bells loudly. This is surprisingly subtle. So the loud bells, it's easy enough. You've got like a hammer on a linear motor, and you just need to drive it really fast. That's easy, but quiet is hard. You've got a hammer on a motor, you need to drive it slowly. So you could just make it slow and then pull it back, but that takes too long. What you actually need to do is make it go really fast and then slow it down just before it hits. Is my computer back?
That's all right.
No, it's not. What was I saying? Slow is hard. You have to slow it down just before it hits, and then you have to pull it back. And because the bell is ringing quietly, you can't just pull it back to its backstop. Because if you did that like really fast, it would make another thud, and you'd hear that thud. So you have to pull it back and then slow it down just before it gets to the backstop. And you need, like, timing matters. We heard before it was like musical, right? So the timing matters there. One of the first things I did like 12 years ago, sort of technical, was a simulation in Python for making these bells, like the strength of the bells. So you can drive this motor, like accelerate fast forward or accelerate fast backwards. That's the two controls you get. You do a simulation, like you choose your final velocity that you want to hit the bell. You specify about how much time you have to do that. And then you do I think it was a SciPy like constrained optimization thing that tried to minimize the amount of energy it took to hit the bell at a certain velocity and then get it back into position for the next strike fast enough to be musical. The reason we minimized energy is that like heat matters for this too. So the bells are like a closed system. If the motor gets too hot, you might damage them. Speaking of damage, the sign that you didn't see because my computer crashed also says that audio recording happens here to monitor the bell's performance. That's actually a system that's checking if the bell gets jammed or like damaged somehow because, I don't know, spiders' webs could get in there, a bird's nest, or heat damage, something like that. So every morning, or maybe once a week, I can't remember the details, but there's a test sequence where each of those 39 bells is rung one by one by one. And it's recorded while that's happening. This gives us a whole bunch of recordings, like normal sound recordings. And then there's a monitoring system that checks whether those recordings are good. How does that work? The magic of signal processing, cross-correlations, Fourier transforms. If I had my laptop working, I'd show you that XKCD where you took a Fourier transform of the cat. So I assume I showed it to you, and it's really funny. Ha, ha, ha. Thank you. So anyway, we've got these sort of factory recordings that we took in the lab of like, this is what the bell should sound like. And then we're taking these recordings in the field. There's like a CPython extension that's like listening to the audio on a ring buffer, and then we tell it, like, give me the last few seconds of audio. Take that audio, do Fourier transform magic, cross-correlation magic to check it against the known good recording. And that is monitoring the bells, checking that they're still working. This has been running for 12 years. It somehow still works. This was one of the first commercial projects I did. I'm slightly shocked. Anyway, when I was talking to the developers of this, they pointed out that they're aging. And they're considering some succession planning. So if you're curious about public art installations in Melbourne, Bells, I think you can email, let me check the email because I no longer have it on my slides, Harry at springstudio.com.au. Anyway, I was thinking we could do an interactive thing here. We heard the bells before.
Boom.
What does PyCon sound like if we're simulating the bells? Like bing, bong, bang. Ready? 3, 2, 1.
Boom. Boing. Yay! Thanks for that, Ewan. Okay, so on deck, Lindsay Holmwood, you're over this side. If you are on this side during the lightning talks, walk around the back so you don't have to walk in the path of the camera. But first, we're going to see what happens to Git commit messages when everything's on fire around you with Adam Stiles.
Hey everyone, my name's Adam. I am a system admin that spends most of my day automating things in Python, which is quite fun. Although to date I haven't automated myself out of a job yet, as far as I know. But we'll see how we go. So I thought it'd be fun to have a bit of a lull and talk about Git and the logs associated with the history of things. So like anything, you're given a project and there's a scope and guidelines and you think it'll be okay. And then as the project progresses, perhaps scope creep happens and things don't go according to plan. And usually when things are shipped, most people don't see this, but the murky world of the commit messages always tell the truth of what actually happened, which is quite fun. So usually it starts great. It's the unicorn time. It's where everything is working and everyone is committing things and all the tests are passing, and you go, oh, great. This is going to be a great project, unlike the last one. And and the commits will be like Shakespeare and like Captain's log, and we're committing this, and we're doing that, and this feature branch is great, and world harmony and whatnot. But then we progress. The good times roll. It's still going okay. We're a couple of weeks in. First sprint is complete. And hey, test pass. This is probably going to be great. This is really going to be good. Nothing's going to go wrong here. Then it starts getting a bit weird. The new features that are requested are kind of going a little bit out of scope creep. And we're really wondering what we're going to do because there's not enough time in the world to actually deliver everything that people want. So there's a new bug, and hey, we've written a patch for it, and it's totally going to solve it. Wait, everything burns down. This is a point where maybe it's just me, but maybe others as well, where you go from the coherent commits to, nope, yep, kill me now. Or I'm a failure in all things. And then we keep applying, and we commit, and we commit. And we're at the breaking point now, and there may be swear words in commits. It happens. And we think, will this actually work? And we lose sleep, and we kind of cry a lot and stuff. But hey, somehow we make it through, whether it's with lack of sleep or too many energy drinks or this mystical thing we find which somehow fixes it, which we could have used in the first place instead of building a new feature, but I won't tell the project manager that. And everything is great, and we get some sleep, which is awesome. And then we just forget about all the weird commits, and no one ever sees the messages, maybe. Although they're stored for time and space. A few key takeaways. This can happen to anyone, and you just have to remember it's a team effort, and you can think you have to save the world yourself, but usually you don't. Well, I'm a team of 2, so there's just 2 of us, really. But anyway, international company, wait. But be kind to yourself, and yeah, remember that you'll make it through. One thing, I didn't think I'd actually make 5 minutes, but one thing which is quite fun to do is to go to some of the bigger packages in the world and look at some of their commit logs, and you can actually see some pretty interesting narratives going on in there when things didn't go so well. which is pretty fun. And some of the bigger projects, you go, ooh. And even more fun is using the git reverse command, where you can actually see the first commit. And so many of them are, this is a temporary feature we're bringing in until we replace it. But most of the time, they don't actually replace it, and it still perpetuates the hotfix. So yeah, I'm sure this is something that everyone's done, and I invite everyone to check the logs because they're quite fun, and hopefully I have expressed that it happens to everyone. And yeah, don't worry about the murky things that you can't change in the commit logs because we'll do it. And I'm done. Thanks.
Update lightningtalks.yaml. Update lightningtalks.yaml. Will Domvo, you are on deck. But first, an important message from Lindsay Holmwood.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for letting me have an opportunity to speak. I want to talk really briefly about things that I wish that I knew before I joined the New South Wales State Emergency Service a couple of years ago. So hello, my name is Lindsay. I am a volunteer in the New South Wales SES. I also work at CipherStash, one of the sponsors of the conference. So we're a startup, and obviously I have huge amounts of free time, and that's why I volunteer in the SES. So a quick disclaimer, I'm not talking on behalf of the New South Wales SES. I'm talking about it purely from my own personal experience and why some of that might be relevant to you. So me, like probably many people here in this room, lockdowns triggered a bit of a refocus of what exactly did you want to do with your life, what sort of impact did you want to have on the world. And for me, a lot of this just boiled down to feeling quite overwhelmed by climate change. I was moving house as ash was falling on me in the Black Summer bushfires of 2019, 2020. And I sort of have done all the things that I think that I could do to actually have some sort of impact on climate change, which is insulating my house, trying not to fly as much as possible, and home solar. That's basically it, all that we can do as individuals. But it really just didn't feel like enough. And I keep coming back to this quote from William Arthur Ward: the pessimist complains about the wind, the optimist expects it to change, the realist adjusts the sails. So for me, it's what is the sail adjustment that I'm going to do myself? Where can I actually make an impact on the world? And for me, that's my local community. So I live on the central coast of New South Wales. I live in the Gosford unit area. And so what does that actually look like on a day-to-day basis then for volunteering in the SES? Well, lots of out-of-area deployments. I was very privileged to be able to do this within my first year of joining. So this is me deployed out in Hillston in western New South Wales. Lots of flood water there. The water moved in ways that had never been seen before, at least under European history. Coordinating welfare drops as well to people that are isolated by floods, sometimes for weeks and months on end. Also, SES has a time machine, which is old RSLs and pubs in the country, so you get to sort of relive a bit of your time, your childhood. And then more recently, I received this text message as a duty officer from my unit at 8:25 in the morning. Go deep, busways, bomb. Awesome way to start the day. Very strong speed energy here. And it turns out there was actually just a tree that had fallen on a road, but exciting, exciting. So the things that I really wish that I knew ahead of time, the skills that I've learned through the SES are actually really transferable and applicable in a day-to-day work setting. So we use the national training standards and the VQF as well. So pretty much all the training that you can see here, all these different courses and pathways, they are nationally recognized and accredited. So that means things like first aid and doing search and rescue, how to lead people as well. So with things like AIMS and field team leader and leadership fundamentals, how to better structure planning and communication when organizing large workforces that are pulled together very, very quickly. And all of these different qualifications that I've done, you can just list them on your LinkedIn profile, which is kind of neat. Also, like how to use hand and power tools, and probably most importantly, how to work with people that have sometimes radically different sets of beliefs than what we might find here in the tech industry. Also, not everything that we do is about physical labor. So there's a perception that when you're volunteering for something like the SES or the RFS, or the CFS, or whatever the emergency service is, it's going to be sandbagging, it's going to be constructing sandbag walls, it's going to be a whole bunch of roof work, dealing with trees that have fallen on houses, climbing up there, fixing people's aerials where the water is actually leaking in. This is a photo of me. Land searches as well, looking for missing people, forensic searches if we're required to by the police. Chainsawing as well, obviously, which is a lot of fun, only a skill that I've acquired very recently. But that kind of flows into my family and the whole reason that I got into the SES in the first place, actually, which was community capability. My wife and daughters went with Girl Guides to the local SES unit, and they basically said, hey, these are your people, you should totally go. So a strong focus on community engagement with Patty, our mascot here, also hanging my child from the roof at Girl Guides. But the whole point of community engagement is preparing for emergencies means you reduce the number of jobs, and if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. Also on the incident management team, how to manage the response and recovery to disasters, planning and tasking, working with other emergency services as well. And that, in this particular case, this is Surf Life Saving New South Wales. They're out in the middle of western New South Wales, nowhere near the sea. But fundamentally, they need people like us. And by people like us, I mean analytical, computer savvy, that can help others compassionately, with flexible hours. So how do you sign up? This is where you do it. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Lindsay. So many of us in our industry talk about fighting fires at work. So to hear from somebody who actually does that, I'm super grateful. So thank you for the talk, and thank you for the work that you do. Izzy, you are on deck, but first, Will.
Hi, everyone. My name is Will, and hi. I'm a bit of a fantasy nerd, and I'll start with two questions for my talk. So my talk is why I'm coloring my bookcase. And my first question is, how many in the room has watched or read The Lord of the Rings? Yes, that's good. So you know what I'm talking about. And the second question is a bit harder, is how many of you have counted the number of significant female characters in The Lord of the Rings? Yeah, we have a few. And how many female characters are there? 2, yes. And let's not start counting the people of color in there. So what I've found in the fantasy, and I really like the classics, is that there is a cruel lack of diversity. And that's a bit of a shame. So I tried to do something about it, and what I've decided is to start looking into the authors of color who write fantasy. And I found some real gems, and I'd wanted to share those with you. So I'll just share my top 3. And the first one is Sarah El Arifi. So she's from the UK, and she is writing a trilogy. She has released 2 books at the moment, the first one being The Final Strife, and I am obsessed. I really just can't wait for the third one. It's really good, and I totally recommend it. The second one, if I'm talking about authors of color and sci-fi fantasy, I have to talk about N.K. Jemisin. Yes, she has won many awards, and they are absolutely well-deserved. Her writing is impeccable, the anger is raw, and I've read hundreds of pages in a matter of a few hours. So I totally recommend that one as well, especially the Broken Earth trilogy, and I'm going into her more kind of like CD kind of books very shortly. And the third one is R.F. Kuang. So R.F. Kuang is well known for her book Yellowface, but she has also a fantasy trilogy, which is The Poppy War. And this is a bit different. This is based in hypothetical China, and it's actually really cool. Once again, the anger is quite raw, which is not really something we find in the great classics. So I totally recommend these. And so when I've read those trilogies and all these books and all these authors, I actually found what I was looking for. And in the first place, I was looking for ethnic diversity. So I was really pleased, especially with N.K. Jemisin and Sarah El Arifi. I was like, wow, I can relate to those characters. It's really cool. And something that I have found there as well that I did not expect is gender diversity and sexual diversity in those books. And it's just amazing, the inclusiveness of the worlds that they build. And I did not expect that, but I really appreciated it. The only thing that I couldn't find in there is the neurodiversity. So maybe I can't see it as well. Maybe it is in there, but maybe I need to read other authors as well. So, of course, I'm a fantasy nerd, and I will always love orcs and elves and dwarves. But really, this is the kind of world that I want to live in. So if you have more suggestions of fantasy authors, of color or not, please share it with me. Or if you want to nerd out on the classics or on these authors, I'm happy to chat after. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Will. And for those of us with long flights the next few days, that's a great set of recommendations, so thank you. Jack Reichelt, you're up on deck. But first, a presenter, if her name was a question, the answer would be no, a bell is not a Hogan. Welcome, Isabella Hogan.
So, this is my talk on thoughts on teaching Lego robotics. Oh wait, sorry, that was yesterday. This is spreadsheets. So, one thing I need to say is I love spreadsheets. And I think that you should too, because honestly, spreadsheets are awesome. They're really cool. They store data really easily. There's so many things you could do with them, especially in like current situations with Excel and Sheets being the way that they are. And the best thing about spreadsheets is how easy it is to A, get started, and B, implement new things that you don't know how to do. So here are 4 formulas that I believe you don't know, but will definitely change your life, as they have changed mine in my work and volunteering, in which that I use spreadsheets all the time. So this is the first one. Some of my beautiful slides have looked less beautiful, but we're going to do this anyway. So conditional formatting a whole row at the same time. So this is formatting it based off one value. In these ones, you can see that they're very beautifully colored, and they are colored based off what is in the third column. Yes, so the way that you need to do that is to define the range. Make sure when you're defining the range, you need to make sure that all of it's included. So here the range is from where it says 1 to where it says purple. And then you need to set a custom formula and shape the formula so that it checks based off the third column. And I'm going to show you this in my actual spreadsheet, because this is a screenshot. This is a spreadsheet. And this is my formatting. You've got the range, which is these ones, and you have the custom formula where it says D3 is red, because it's the red one. This means that if I were to change that one, let's say purple.
Ooh.
Yeah, amazing. Look, live demo working. Okay, so that is the first one, and that one is able to work on both Sheets and Excel. I have checked. Next one, import range. I love this one. It's really cool. You can get a range from any other table or spreadsheet. This is only in Sheets, or spreadsheet using the link or the table name if it's in the same workbook, and then the data range. So if you see there, it's got the colors without any colors on them. This is in a completely separate spreadsheet. So remember how it was red, green, orange, red, orange, yellow, green, blue? Yeah? Purple. Yes. So if we go and change this, someone give me a word. I could type. Purple is not a color in my spreadsheet, but look, it is a color in this spreadsheet. Amazing. Oh, and we've got something popping up. Anyway, so that is an import range. I love them. They're amazing. Means you don't have to do data entry. Queries, SQL, in your spreadsheets. Also really cool, especially when you pair it with the import range. You can do a query of a different spreadsheet, filter the data. It's amazing. I did this recently on a Volley's spreadsheet, and it did have to get deleted because it was confusing, but it worked, and it was awesome, and I loved it. Anyway, so if we go to this one, see how we've got Blurple at the top? It contains you, right? Blurple! Yes. And that's just with, here, if I can actually show you, if you look right at the top. It's just a select statement, select everything where it's like the column is like you. OK, and the last one, Python in Excel. Yeah, figured you guys would like this one. This one is only in Excel. The last one was Excel and Sheets, but this one is sadly only in Excel and only on local Excel, so you can't do it online. But if we look here, hang on, Python code, where I've added it all together.
Yay!
Yep. Thank you.
Thanks, Izzy. Thanks for your lightning talks. There's so many things you excel at. OK. Yeah? What? OK, thanks, Benno. OK, John Roberts, you're up on deck. But first, Jack, this is not what you promised.
No, I found another one.
Oh, OK.
Or I think I actually just forgot it when I wrote that. OK, if you've met me or you know me, you went to my talk yesterday, you've probably worked out that I like animals. I also like strange animal facts, including cursed ones. So this is 18-ish cursed animal facts in 5 minutes or less. Cursedness not guaranteed. We're going to start with the closest relative to the elephant is the hyrax. Yes, this fuzzy little thing, it's about yay big, 30 centimeters long or so, looks a bit like a groundhog or a marmot or that kind of thing. Closest non-elephant relative to elephants. Our next one, whales are even-toed ungulates, meaning they stand on 2 of their 5 digits. They used to. That's what they evolved from, and then they decided land is bad, go back in the water. Sugar gliders don't just eat sugary fruit. They are also, especially in Tasmania, big predators of, they eat the eggs of the orange-bellied parrot, which is unfortunately endangered. So that's a bit sad. Next one. Chevrotains, or mouse deer, are not deer, nor are they mice. That one's a bit more obvious. What they are closely related to, however, is giraffes. Again, a very small animal here. There you go. Red pandas stink like skunks. Not only when they are scared do they stand up and try and appear big and scary, but also then they also are big and scary and smelly. This one is possibly going to cause some ruckus. Most kookaburras aren't Australian, actually. Of the 5 species of kookaburra, 3 of them are exclusive to Papua New Guinea. One of them is predominantly found in Papua New Guinea, but is also found in Northern Australia. And then one of them is exclusive to Australia, and it's the only one that laughs, but also it's just one of the 5. So maybe kookaburras aren't Australian. This next one is weird and goes into chemistry and material science. I don't understand, but little blue penguins are fast swimmers because they are blue. The blue pigment makes their feathers stronger in a way that resists wear and tear and helps them be faster swimmers. We have a series of related facts. Beetles are over 25% of all, that should say animal species, but also, yeah, there are so many beetles. There are actually more species of beetle than any other type of animal. There are about 400,000 different species of beetles. Not only that, but there are even more species of beetle than there are flowering plants, where there's only about 350,000 flowering plants. And a similar one along that vein is that there are actually more species of cockroach than there are of mammals. Part of this is because there are loads of species of termites, and termites are just a very specialized cockroach. The next one we have, yeah, I heard of what, that is true. Pallas cats. Pallas cats are very small desert-dwelling cats with extremely grumpy faces that are delightful. They actually are extremely effective predators with about a 50 to 60% hunt success rate. Normal for carnivorous mammals is sort of around the 10 to 15% range, but the best hunters on Earth are actually dragonflies that have a greater than 90% hunt success rate. It is astonishing how good dragonflies are at hunting. Next up, mantis shrimp can see circularly polarized light. There is no other organisms that can do this. We don't know why they want to be doing this, but they can. I figured I'd give a mantis shrimp fact about their eyes. It is not the normal. They have they can see lots of different colors, which is true with a couple of asterisks. But the next one is also about a crustacean. Much more upsetting is that butterflies are crustaceans. In fact, all insects are under the group Pancrustacea, and so all insects are crustaceans, and I'm very sorry to tell you. The next one, spiders are not crustaceans, but just one step up. Next is that male seahorses do not become pregnant. What happens is that the female, they're an egg-laying species, and they just happen to lay their eggs in a pouch in the male. But it's still, like, there is no pregnancy. That's not what pregnancy means. Next, capybaras are actually a strange species of chinchilla. They are more related to chinchillas than any other reptile, any other rodent. I'm running low on time, real quick. Giraffes have the same number of neck vertebrae as humans. They just made them real big and tall. And then the last one, for this talk in particular, pythons, like most snakes, have legs. And I do actually mean like most snakes. So that's a horrible fact for you all. Thank you very much.
Hey, thank you, Jack. Jack will be available for arguments behind the stadium at the end of the lightning talks. On deck, we have Raphael, but first, John, who's going to be talking about something dear to my heart.
Okay. Hey, everyone. I'm John. I've been a software engineer for about 7 years now, but today I'm going to take you back to a story of when I was just a little baby and made some terrible, terrible programming mistakes. So we're going to talk about metaprogramming. Just for those who aren't aware, what is metaprogramming? Metaprogramming is just code that generates or modifies existing code. In some languages, that can be pretty hard to accomplish, but our beloved Python, you can do pretty much whatever you'd like. It is tempting to use. You look at it and you go, oh, like, this does almost what I want. I'll just tweak it. It's fine, it's great. Which is dangerous. Don't do that. So, what tools do we have? For those of you who usually work in Django land, you're probably actually fairly used to decorators. For those who aren't, I'm not sure how much you use this. Decorators are functions that take functions, or also classes, fun fact. You very rarely see class decorators. And apply some sort of wrapper function and return that instead. In this case, I take the result of my function and I just call lower on it. Turn any result into a lowercase. Not particularly useful, but this can be used and abused to do whatever you'd like. Turns out things are quite malleable. Meta classes. Now we're really getting into the meat of it. If you think of a class as a blueprint to make an object, a meta class is a blueprint to make a class. And now your head explodes. You look at it and you say, okay, it's great. I want to do this, and I'm going to change the result, and okay, no, I'm completely lost. Why doesn't this work? So we start with our regular class. We just foo, bar, all good. This is our new nice Python 3 syntax, meta class. We just say, hey, use this to build it instead of the regular constructor. And then we say, okay, this is our meta class. In this case, we're just going to add answer to it with the value of 42. And now whenever we construct it, answer has been added. This looks pretty simple. Now the problem is attrs here is malleable. You can edit it. And so you can take any existing value in attrs and change it. Let's go into another fun thing, factories. This is a pattern we've all seen, probably too much. And we just have a class, a function that returns a class. And this class does as you'd expect. We can pass values in, dynamically construct our class. So let's start talking about what terrible monstrosities we can build with this. Let's tell a truncated story. We need to make a Django application. And we need to do it pretty quickly. We don't have much time. Now, it consists of a lot of forms. Okay, we're sounding good. This is Django's thing. And all of them are really simple. We just need to do a lot of them. We just don't have enough time to make them all with the boilerplate. So how about we use metaprogramming to speed up the project?
Oh, no.
And what I'm hoping you've all done is this. So we now have 1,000 lines of Django view factories and hundreds of lines of meta classes to make a serializer dynamic so that you can pass in JSON to automatically construct a REST framework serializer that depends on all of our custom implementations. And somehow it works. This is the shocking bit. I can't believe we got here. Now the customer comes along and says, can we just change this thing just a little bit? Yeah, that's going to be hard. Every time there's a new request, we find a new edge case. And every time we need to modify the core machinery, change our abstractions, what we've really done is built a very bad, very complex abstraction around Django. We've just built Django again, but with JSON instead. So really, big takeaways here. Metaprogramming tools exist, can be really useful. They're really powerful. Learn how they work. You should know about these. However, they whisper lies in your ears, promise easy wins. No, hang on, wait. They can be underestimated in the complexity. Learn where they are the right solution and do leverage them. Don't be scared off of them. But ward off the complexity spirit demon in your code base. Make sure you tell all your junior devs, don't do this. Terrible idea. Like, please. Thanks, everyone.
Sure. Lizzie, you're on deck on this side. First, a quine in Python with Raphael.
All right. So they don't tell you this, but you can't see anything like this way. So we're going to try our best here. A quine is a program. It prints its own source code, right? So here I have source code in a file. So we just go in. We're gonna just like open the file, and let's see. What do we do? Read? Yeah. OK, so yeah. So this is a quine. I'm opening up the file. I'm printing out the source code. So then if I were to take this source code and run it again, it would just be the same thing. But this is not fun. It's kind of specific to having a program in a file. So if I'm going to print out a program, well, I'm going to probably call print, right? By the way, what's on the right is running what's on the left. I want to write print. OK. Yeah. So even here, this is a fun thing where you can kind of be really didactic and say, like, OK, I have a program, and like every time I put a character here, like the output increases by 1, but the input also increases by 1, so you're never going to catch up. That's kind of this core insight here, because you're like, OK, well, I really need to like make my output bigger. So maybe do something like this. OK. So you see, OK, so now my output is bigger, which is great, but it's unfortunately not correct. We don't need to print that much. But we want to print a lot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write print here. I actually have a lot of time. I can write print here, and then I'm going to implement compression, which is always very helpful. So all right. So we're going to put a print here. We're going to put a print here. And then we're going to put a print. We're going to just give it to print. OK, so now I'm writing print 1,000 times. I don't really know why, but it's there. Unfortunately, I've added this extra line here. So I gotta kind of go in here. I'm going to do p equals uh-oh. Big fonts. Let's see. S. Oh, OK. And of course, we put a little new line. Oh, wait, no. There's a better trick here. R. Yeah, that's the one you want. You want to print the string. And then I got another one in here. Yeah, so, OK, single quotes, double quotes are the same. What's going on over here? OK. All right, that's better. Yeah, so this is basically the same program. We're getting there. Of course, here, we want to do a little bit of factoring. We're going to take this string over here. I'm going to say, like, OK, well, I have this beautiful template string. I'm going to copy it. I'm going to paste it. I'm going to hit Enter. I'm going to do this and then make a mistake somewhere. OK, so I have this template, but now I don't have the T, so I need to put the T in. We're going to get there eventually. Yeah. What did I do wrong? I did something wrong. No, wait, I did nothing wrong. It's just that this is a nasty program that is doing nonsense. OK, right. OK, so now we actually want to write our program. What is it? I want to say my actual program is I want to print T, and then T, P, P, P. And not all arguments. And this is the fun little exercise you get to do now where you kind of figure out, OK, what am I actually missing here? And I am missing, oh, I don't remember. What? Yeah. I actually am unsure as well. Let's see, wait. Not all the arguments are missing. How many? I have a minute. OK, we're going to get there. We're going to get there. OK, how many arguments are there? 1, 2, 2. There are 2 arguments. There we go. OK. And I actually, is that the entire program? Oh, wait, no, actually it's backwards. So first we have the P, then we have the T. Oh, no. OK, P equals da-da-da. And then I have a space here that I put in for fun. And single quotes. And of course, now we are all experts in quine, so I don't need this anymore. And I don't want to auto-format anything. And I have 19 seconds. OK, and then to prove the point, Python, come on. OK, and then I'm going to pipe it into Python 3, and it's very small, and it didn't work, but it's the idea there. Well, I almost got there. Anyways, yeah.
So hopefully our next live coding talk will actually finish the thing in the 5 minutes. But thank you for trying. Up next, we have Yakov. But first, Lizzie Silver.
Hi, PyCon. Who here likes fun?
Yay!
I thought so. This is a talk about how you can keep having it. If you like giving talks, or listening to talks, or just hanging around in a kind of talk-adjacent space, you may enjoy the Melbourne Machine Learning and AI Meetup, which is great because it's reliable. It's every 3rd Tuesday of the month. We have, and you will make friends. Who's been to MLAI? Woo! A few people. You'll make like 3 friends at least. We have a technical talk and social drinks. Now, we've all heard like the hype around machine learning, right? And I think we can all agree it's really annoying. So we try and maintain a low hype space. We want to hear technical talks with some meat to them. But not in December because it's really close to Christmas. We're just doing social drinks. But in January, we'll be hearing about deep multitasking models. And then in February, AI engineering. And in March, maybe your talk. Would you like to tell us about your research? Or shamelessly reuse your PyCon talk? Or tell us about literally anything data related. You know, everyone else's talks are always so much more impressive than your talk. So when you're thinking about giving a talk, the bar is so low. But if you're thinking about coming to the event, the talks are incredible. So yeah, come to Malai. What if you like puzzles? Or going to the pub, or hanging out and meeting people over a puzzle at the pub? You should consider Puzzled Pint. It's reliable. It's every 2nd Tuesday of the month, and you will make friends. Who here's been to Puzzled Pint? You'll make like 4 friends, guaranteed. The puzzles are like puzzle hunt or escape room style puzzles, where figuring out what you're supposed to do is part of the puzzle. To find out where it is, you have to solve a puzzle. But if you're short on time, you can always click the Show Me the Solution link. And it has organizers in Melbourne, in Sydney, and potentially in the future in Brisbane, Perth, Adelaide, or Canberra. Consider organizing Puzzle Pint. It is an international event. It runs in many cities around the world, and organizing it is, as a result, really easy, because all you have to do is book a venue and print the puzzles. Another way that you can continue to have fun post-PyCon is be my friend.
Aww.
I'm reliable. I make these things happen. You will make friends, trivially, one friend. I make fun things happen. You can find me on Blue Sky Social. But much better than online is to talk in person. And a great way of talking to me in person is by coming to the Melbourne Machine Learning and AI Meetup or to Puzzle Pint.
Thanks, Lizzie. I'm so glad to have had a talk about how I can leave this event with 4 friends, because after these lightning talks... David Ma, you're up on deck, but first we have Yakov with an update.
Hello, everyone. I'm Yakov. I'm a principal engineer at WiseTech Global, and last year I decided to spend some time and help run PyCon AU 2023, run by these wonderful people. I live in Sydney. Well, I did live in Sydney. I've since moved to Melbourne, but I lived in Sydney at the time and went to Adelaide for it. Also, Jack, if Jack Skinner's here, maybe not. He was running around earlier taking photos. Also lived in Sydney and came to PyCon and took a bunch of photos. And at the end, I was like, well, hey, Jack, can I please get a copy of all your photos? I was like, yeah, I've got some of them. Jack took a lot of photos. And so we tried to figure out how to get them around, and Jack put them on S3. Then I had another idea, like, we're both in Sydney. That's not a huge amount of gigs. I have a 500 gig drive in the cupboard. Like, surely I could just get them straight off him. Doesn't sound so hard. Even better, though, what if I set up a race? Like, let's set up my home internet versus me in the car. I'm not going to break any road rules. I'm not going to do 41 in a 40. I'm not going to go through a yellow light. No speeding, no break the road rules. Can I get the photos faster in person than with the NBN? And, I like the NBN. It gives us internet, sometimes. So I set up the download with some tool. I don't remember what it was. It was probably S3CMD, because that was my favorite at the time. Grabbed a hard disk, I hopped in the car, and I drove over to Jack's place. It was easy traffic, because it was late at night. It shouldn't be a problem, really. And Sydney being Sydney, well, first I had to circle the block a few times to find a parking spot. Then I went in, we copied the photos to the hard disk, I got back to the car and drove home. Content warning for the next slide, potentially disturbing footage. If you're queasy, just cover your eyes and ears for about 10-15 seconds. But I was driving home, and somebody on the right-hand side did not stay in their lane. So then, of course, after someone smashed into me, I had to pull over, check the damage, swap driver's license details. She was extremely apologetic, so it was hard to keep moving when she keeps saying sorry. Make sure it's safe to drive, continue on home. I got home, I opened the door, I went to my computer. It had done 56 or 58 gigs. With that original 183. Let's say it did about a third of the transfer. So back of the envelope numbers say the SneakerNet, 319 megabits, NBN 93, not bad considering we paid for 100 down. So that's most of it right there. That does include the car crash time. I didn't subtract that, I'm not cheating. It also doesn't include the time Jack spent uploading it. So possibly for the best overall transfer, like a peer-to-peer setup with I think 400 up and 1,000 down is the max you can get on residential. So that might put the NBN ahead of SneakerNet, at least at these sizes. Of course, it'll vary. I could do a whole graph. I have not done a whole graph. And thank you to Jack as well for telling me to put this into a lightning talk after I went, oh, I got in a car crash. Lastly, please drive safely. Thank you.
Thanks, Yakov. We have Justin Warren on deck. But first, I did make an exception to the no ads rule because David here is going to tell us how to monetize any website.
Hi, everyone. I hope you've had a great PyCon so far. I'm David Ma, and I make too many websites. I love community building and data viz. Here are some of the kinds of websites that I've made. A data viz blog. Clicking on this one will tell you which Georgia you are closest to by looking up your IP address and then just checking if you're closer to Georgia or Georgia. Matt and Luke, you had a fantastic talk and where you had children or young people with radios and the communication, it sounded like you logged them and you have locations and you wanted to see the location data stuff. So here is a data visualization that maybe I could reuse. This is on GitHub and it's public. I forget which license I have on it, but I could fix that for you if someone told me how licenses work. This is data from Twitter when we had an earthquake in Melbourne. And I geolocated it and found out where, roughly where people were and people tweeting about the earthquake. I was hoping that it would like expand in a wave, but it didn't. It was a mess. Anyway, you're probably wondering where this is all going, and like, so is my dad. He's just like, when are you going to get serious and focus on your career? Like, none of these websites make any money. Oh, wait, I forgot there was one more, a really good one that I should show off. Yeah, the community building one, Australian game dev events, and yeah, very related to that previous talk about meetups. Like, it's hard to find out where the meetups are, when they're on and stuff. So here's like 3 iframes in a trench coat because I don't want to maintain any more websites. This is just Google Calendar and then Google Forms. And if I trust you as a community organizer, I'll just give you admin access and you can add your things yourself. Otherwise, I can go and right-click and just add it. It's super easy, super maintainable, and I don't have to do things. And I can copy-paste it and change the font and make it this. But yeah, like, how's this going to make me any money? Like, that's never going to make me any money. So I made monetizingyourwebsite.com, where it will take any of those other websites, dataviz.davidma.net. Let's get started and see how that goes. As you can see, I've swapped out all of the images with paintings by Claude Monet because I've actually built monetizingyourwebsite.com.
Stop applauding, it's 2 minutes.
All right. Here is our lovely sponsor, Python Software Foundation. Let's see what happens if they have made any money. I mean, if we monetized it for them. Here we go. There's like 1 image, sorry.
How dare you?
There we go. Let's have pycon.org.au. Why is that pycon.org.au. Let's see. Bad gateway. Sorry. Here's one I prepared earlier. There we go. So with my 1 minute left, live demo slides. You can try it yourself now that I've done the live demo. You can crash my Raspberry Pi. Here's the backup slides in case it didn't load. I have a server log anecdote. I was going through the server logs, looking at what websites people had. I found like onlinegames.com, and I looked up the IP address, and it was like a high school in Georgia, USA. And I think there were a bunch of kids who figured out they could play games using a reverse proxy. Thank you for your time, everyone.
Thanks, David, for bringing the pun quotient back to today's lightning talks. I've been a bit slow on it today. Up on deck we have Peter Hall, but first, Justin Warren, also with an update.
Yes, a bit of an update. I have a stupid hobby that I picked up several years ago. Those who were at LinuxConf a couple of years ago may recall that I gave a talk very similar to this, because basically the easy way to annoy the government with FOI requests is to make them. I did that a little while ago. You may recall this particular bit of thing. It did hit the news eventually. It was a request for the business case and some the data matching protocols for something from Centrelink, or it was then called the Department of Human Services. You may know the name of that program. It's now referred to as Robodebt. I thought this would be easy. I'd done a couple of them, and I got some data back, and I thought, okay, well, I'll put this in, and we'll have a look at what you're doing. It looked a bit dodgy to me, and I thought, okay, let's do that. It took a little while. When I last gave this talk, I think we were up to around 2022, I think, ish. We'd done the AAT, or I was waiting for a decision from the AAT. So this is an update of what happened since then. We went to the Federal Court of Australia. In fact, the full bench of the Federal Court. I don't know if you know much about the structure of how things work in Australia, but there's only one court higher than that, which is, funnily enough, called the High Court. When we did this, halfway through that, I got a cake because it was 5 years. So after about 7.5, nearly 8 years, we finally got to the end of, well, close to the end, and we learned a great deal about FOI. If you understand that joke, I am so sorry. If you would like to understand that joke, come and talk to me afterwards. But at the end of all of that, through the Federal Court, we won. Hooray!
Yay!
And I say we because I filed the FOI request and my name is on this, but it was an entire team of people. I was assisted by Grata Fund, I was assisted by Morris Blackburn lawyers, I was assisted by a whole bunch of other people in the community, a whole bunch of people just like you, and many of you out there were very helpful along the way of doing this. It was very much a community effort. And that is, I think, something I really want to drive home about this update. It's like, yes, we got some great case law out of this, but this was due to a lot of people working together to do this. It wasn't just one or two people working on their own. It was a whole group. And one of the things we got out of that, yes, so hooray, we won. You can go and read this judgment for yourself. So everyone here we're at a programming conference, so I assume that you like code at least some of the time. Go and read this. If you can read code, you can read a judgment. And you will learn particularly good things. So there's two bits that came out of this case. One is on procedural fairness, which was about how to do this really well, how to hold the government accountable to make sure that they allow us to do this properly. The other part is very, very niche and nerdy. You are niche and nerdy. Oh yes, thank you, Aziz. The Section 34 part of the Cabinet Documents exemption to the FOI Act, this is really niche, no one cares. This has been improved as a result of this particular process that we went through. So it is now much easier for all of you to go and get information out of the government that deals with Cabinet documents. So if you would like to know things about what your government is up to, I recommend that you go and file FOI requests. So please go and make a request. Go and ask the government for things. It should be easier. Read that particular case and learn more about how you can do that. You can do this with a great website called Right to Know. I used it. It's wonderful. If you feel even more inclined to go and give them some money because they're a not-for-profit and they could really use it. And for Christmas this year, go and make an FOI request. Go and ask for some info. And good luck.
Thanks, Justin. That is the end of the lightning talks for this year. Okay, time for some thanks. Firstly, for Benno Rice for being on deck for interpretive dance. Nicholas Crouch, who has risked life and limb to sit in the dangerous death trap seats at the front of the auditorium to keep time for all of our presenters. To our AV staff and volunteers who continue to make this look like it's very easy to do when it is in fact the most chaotic bit of the conference. And of course, to all 12 of today's speakers who made the last hour of the conference pretty good. Thank you all. If you have a lightning talk, well, you can't present one at PyCon AU this year, but now you have the best part of a year to come up with some inspiration and submit something for next year. So you should do that. And now it's time to close the conference with your wonderful conference director, Peter Hall.
Chris, before you leave the stage, come back, Chris. I have 2 requests for you. One is, please give that microphone to Nick, because I'm going to let Nick speak in just a moment. I'm going to have to duck, aren't I? The second is, please accept this wonderful mug.
Another one?
Another one for our lightning czar. Thank you very much, Christopher Neugebauer.
Thank you.